Media and communications background, the expectation and the weight on her shoulders. She'll be explaining that to us as we try to get to know one more great woman in this space. Amma, welcome back.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, you're one of the favorites on our show, and we've always interacted with you on a level of a political activist and a communicator and an advocate for social change. And so for those who do not know the political side of you, this whole announcement came as, whoa. When did she become NDC? When did you become NDC?
That's a question. Mm-hmm. That's a question. For me, it's not even about when did I become NDC. It's when have I believed in, you know, the can I say the dream or the vision of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for women. Maybe for me that would be the starting point. And I would say right from the beginning, right from when, even before, you know, Her Excellency the Vice President was named, you know, I've been her, and I see this at the risk of sounding, you know, but I've been her huge, her biggest admirer, if that's even, you know, I know there are other people that might think, no, I admire her more than you, but I will fight you on that. I've been her she is something, isn't she, T? She is something. And for President John Dramani Mahama to see that and see what she can do for women, you know, so it's one thing to think about women like that, but then we know how far women can go. So in selecting somebody, you also have to be very, 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 very careful who you select, you know, who will work, who will be the best, who would, you know. So I would say, then let's say there. That's the point at which he had me, you know, to be able to, it's not lip service, it's not a wish, it's not a dream, it's action. And it's action the right way. And it's at that point where I'm like, okay.
There's something there. Okay. Why shouldn't those who didn't know that side of you feel like you've hidden your political colors and put up a front of this neutral person in the middle? And Amma was waiting for you on Friday.
I know she was.
You put yourself out as this neutral person when in actual sense you weren't. And for them that can be seen, or that can seem dishonest.
Well, I mean, it would be strange for me, because if you follow me on social media and you listen to me on TV, I have never hidden where I stand. In 2020, I think, no, 2019, let's take that back to 2019. So before she was even named, I had an interview with her, and on that show, I asked her publicly, I volunteered myself to her that, you know, you need to be named, your name has come up, and, you know, it's something that I love about her also. She was very upfront. She said, yes, indeed, if I'm named, why not, right? And immediately I said to her, if you are named, please, I volunteer myself. I will work in whatever capacity you need me to, because it's not enough that we champion silently, you know, that we wish for women to get there, and yet we do nothing when the time, you know, comes. Which is why, for me, I think that this is an opportunity to work, right? It's not enough that we have the first female vice president. It is our responsibility to make sure that she succeeds. And it will not be enough to sit in your house and say, oh, we have the first female vice president, and leave it there and be an observer. No, we all have to get in there and make sure that she succeeds, because this is just, what, step zero. We haven't even gotten to step one. But our aim is not to get through that door. Our aim is to make sure that once we are in that door, that we serve the purpose for which we got in there. So for me, and I was going to say something. So right before she was named, I was public about, you know, my allegiance to the cause. But subsequently, go on my Facebook, go on my Instagram, listen to any of my shows that you want to watch. I came out 100. You know, for her, and I said, I am with her right from the beginning. You know, I had a lot of backlash then, so this must have been in 2020. I had a lot of calls. I even posted about that one too. I had people calling and saying, Amma, don't do this. If you want longevity in the media, this is not the way you go. You don't show your bias. You don't show, you know, And I made a post about that once when I said, thank you for all the good intentioned advice that you are all giving me. I am with her. And then I went on the campaign with her. So I was one of 2 aides, myself and Benedict Alassi. Went everywhere with her. I don't think I could have hidden my face in that process. People who saw us on the campaign saw me, and it's been that way since. It's been that way since. I haven't, so, I mean, listen, what's the point of everything that we do? Everything that we do, what's the point of the media that I do? What's the point of the women's advocacy that I do? What's the point of the community? I've been coming to GBC since, 2013? Contributing to national conversation. What's the point of that, right? It's to make change. It's to see things go the right way. So if there's any opportunity to be involved in that process, of course I'm in it. But also, I mean, we say neutrality, but it's strange to me because everybody knows where I stand about everything. I'm not one to hide how I feel or what I think. And so you know that I do have some very radical opinions.
And we wouldn't fall far from the tree with your radical opinions. In the immediate aftermath of your announcement, we monitored the media space. Many of them led with male figures, towering male figures in your life. Your husband is my darling. And the headlines were always, Kwesi Pratt's daughter has done this, or Kwame's wife, Alan Tremantin's running mate, like circle. And it all points to the fact that you've not. Your life has always been, perhaps because of your dad, in the limelight. What were your beginnings like as a child with that kind of man, Kwesi Pratt? Anchorite, good morning. As your father.
Right. So, I mean, my dad is my dad. He's my hero too. He's an amazing human being. I don't think that I would be the way that I am if I hadn't grown up in his house. That's just what it is, right? Some of the things that I think about, my worldview, the lenses through which I perceive the world, a lot of it is from him. We don't agree on everything. We don't. We have the fiercest debates. We have been known to have fierce debates at conferences. I remember the last time we're in South Africa together. I chaired the Women's Commission. It was a socialist event, Pan-Africanism Today event, and we were very opposed in our views about representation, and it was public, right? And I remember everybody in the room being shocked to see father and daughter go at it the way that we were, but it's also because of him.
The way he raised you.
The way that because that's how I've been raised up, that if you don't like something, you say it. We debate. We've always had our debates. And so I am never upset, by the association. I am never worried about it. It's not, hey, that's my dad. That's the amazing, it's not a problem at all. I think marriage links you and bonds you, forever, right? So if there's a link to my husband, that's okay. He is my husband. The point, however, for me is that there's this thing where we always want to know who a woman belongs to. And that for me was the point at which it was like, okay, I'm a Pratt. Who does she belong to? And that then became the headlines, which I think we could have done differently, as for the association. Yeah, it is what it is. He is my father, he is my husband.
And I heard you say my name, and I said it on this platform. Let's appreciate women for who they are. And we've had this, challenges that women in politics go through, but we'll come to that in a little bit. I want us to get to know you and your beginnings better. Where did you grow up? Which characters, apart from your father, towering man, influenced your philosophy on life?
So where did I grow up? I hear I was born in Asalam Down. I hear. I was born in Asalam Down. We lived at Airport Residential Area, and then we moved to Kotobabi, and then we moved to Ebony, and then Ashoman, Yeah, so in terms of geography, these are the areas. Actually, I lived in Sekondi for a bit with my grandmom as well at some point, you know. I did not grow up in the way that every other child grows up. I don't think I'm exclusive. I don't think it's exclusive. It's just by virtue of who my dad is. So I'm that child who perhaps knew about extrajudicial killings maybe a bit too early. I'm that child that saw the dad, you know, being arrested at dawn by armed military men, you know, and things. And
I was there that day.
Sorry?
You were there when they picked up
yes, yes. And I've seen him get arrested at the airport. There was a time we went to pick him up from the airport. He had traveled, and I remember this so clearly, him running, you know, just running to where we were, and then him being pursued, and then they grabbed him, and he was shouting to his friends that I arrived in Ghana, and just to alert people that I didn't get lost in transit. I'm here, they have me, you know. So too early, I had an appreciation of maybe things that I shouldn't have. Maybe too early, I understood that the world is not just about my home and my friends and that small unit, that there's a bigger, broader picture. And perhaps too early, I understood that I can matter in that picture, right? That my voice can be important, you know, in the world, if I can say it that way. I have been exposed to, you know, ideals and concepts that perhaps most people haven't, you know, socialism, capitalism. These are things you don't learn in school. I don't remember coming across socialism or capitalism throughout my educational life. So I think that my childhood may not be too conventional, if I can. And I think it shapes you in ways that perhaps you yourself are not conscious of. I think it does, you know, because then my attitude to things maybe, and I'm saying may because we never really know, right? You're not too deliberate about who you are. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I grew up not liking politics. I never wanted to be in
because
it.
of what you saw your dad go through.
I was that girl that so there was a thing in our house where we said no politics here, and if Uncle Kweku is watching this, I'm sure he'll smile, because every time he got to my house, him and my mom had this thing about no politics here, you know, and so politics was not the thing for me. I think I perhaps grew up, maybe in my formative years, resisting politics. Yeah, I think so. I find that, you know, your dad, and, you know, like you say, you can't shy away from the legacy. He's one of the towering figures in Ghanaian journalism, known as one of the people who advocates for press freedom, who advocates for accountability and responsibility. So perhaps you learned too early the cost of, like you said, he taught you, if you don't like something, say it. You learned that way too early. And do you feel that that has, you know, changed the course of your life? I wouldn't know. See, I don't know. I wouldn't know. I just know that if I feel strongly about something, I get in there, right? Perhaps that's why Obasama was formed, right? You know, because I felt there was need for conversations. There was need for a safe space where women could, at the very least, just vent.
Were you that way in school as well?
Oh, I've always been this way. I've always been quiet.
So where did this advocacy start for you? Was it primary, secondary school? Where university? This voice that you got for yourself, that you use now, where did you find it?
See, I think I've always had it. I think so. I've always been the class prefect, you know. So in Infantiman's, you know, girls' secondary school, for instance, I remember one time at assembly, you know, they asked for somebody to pray, and the place was quiet, and I just prayed. Right, I was in Form 1. You know how it is when you go to secondary school, Form 1. You don't exist. You know, you are traumatized. There's a deliberate process to literally break you, and then sort of put you back together. So in that breaking, you know, point in everybody's life in secondary school, Form 1, I still managed to find a voice to pray, and that led to so many things, you know, becoming the first Form 1 girl to have executive position in the SU, you know, but it's not because I set out for that to happen. I just heard pray, and I heard a silence that was a bit too long and uncomfortable, and I just prayed, right? And that then led to having a voice, if you may, you know, that way. I remember how I became Miss SSS in Infantiman. Similar thing. I'd gone to watch the program, you know, and then one of my teachers just said, pulled me to this, because I was the vice president for the Writers, you know, Writers, Debaters and Drama Club. And, you know, I got pulled by Mr. Kumsin, who still every now and then, you know, communicates with me. He pulled me aside and said, Amma, you have to contest for the school. And I said, no, Sandra is contesting for the school. I'm here to watch. And he said, no, have you seen the criteria? So there was that. Listen, T, we had gone to Agri Memorial Secondary School to watch the program. And here I was being pulled aside, being asked to go and contest in the program. I did that, you know, won for Central Region, going on to win for the National at the National Theatre. Things happen that I'm not deliberate about, but they just happen. And I don't use my voice for something to happen. I just use my voice when I, you know, when there's, can I say there's need, or when there's an issue that somebody, I don't know. So I started coming to GBC, iBlogger, because I'd gone to VASAT, right? I think it was International Women's Day. Interestingly enough, it was my dad they wanted. And he said, women's issue, Amma. So I'd gone there, I did that. Somebody at GBC watched that, called VASAT, took my number. I started coming to GBC for iBlogger. And that's where all this, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. This is 2013.
That was before Besima.
All before all of those things.
So please, bring us our royalties. Because like it's like a diamond in the rough. Right. So you found something hidden deep in the ground, brought it out. It was already precious in the ground, but bringing it, putting it on that hill meant that light could shine brighter. And I'll talk about your professional journey as a communicator and always using your voice. That's what sold the vice president as a woman to you and as a viable vice presidential candidate. What has the experience of media advocacy given you that you bring into this role? And we'll talk about what responsibilities they come with, but how have those experiences on the media landscape shaped who you are now?
Okay, so for my attitude towards media, again, I find it's a little different. For some, media is work, right? For some, media is work. It's what you do when you get paid for at the end of the month. I didn't come to the media that way. That's not how I came to media. So I started privately with The Couch before Pan-African TV. The Couch is a project that I was doing before Pan-African TV. You know, I came here, you know, I even was allowed to see market. So The Couch would have been a program on GTV when it started. But then the bureaucracy was a bit too much at some point for me, you know, and so I then moved. I can mention 3 or 4 or 5 TV stations that all accepted to, you know, use it. And then somewhere along the line, Pan-African TV. But you see, Pan-African TV is advocacy. Pan-African TV is not a commercial TV station. The aim of the station is not money. It's not commercial.
So you were in it to further a cause.
Pan-African TV is a cause. Okay. It's advocacy. There's a reason for everything that we do. So media for me is a cause. It's advocacy. Before I sit down and I do a show, I know where I want that show to go. I know the message I want to send with this show. Somebody's sitting in the house and watching the show. Give me any show. I could be interviewing an artist. I know exactly where I'm going with that. I know where I want the viewer watching. I know where I want your mind to go. I could be interviewing a stylist. So for me, that's what life should be about, right? Our existence here on life. That for me is what it should be about. It can't be about nothing.
And it can't be random.
And it cannot be. You can't wake up in the morning. I can imagine your hours. Get here at dawn, do all the studying that you do, navigate your questions, all of that for nothing. There has to be a reason for it.
An end game.
There has to be. And the reason always has to be humanity.
Was this your end game?
That we live the world better than we met it.
Okay.
That we live the world better than we met it. That if it's possible to make change, that we do. Because who will do it for us if we don't?
So when you talk about change, are you leaving active media? As I've seen some people transition from media roles into political roles. Is that what you are doing?
Oh, I hope not. I hope media is an amazing tool. It's an amazing tool for change. People could be watching you for the color of your suit, but at the end of the day, you may have sort of shifted their worldview a little. Media is so crucial, it's so important, and I get messages. There was a time I'd gone to buy malt or something, from a shop, and the guy selling he came out and he was like, "Ama, you have no idea. This happened, and I watched your show, and that," and I realized how important we are, and the power that we have, right? And so for me, media it's everything. It's everything. Sometimes the morning shows, people know what has happened, right? They know that this happened in Parliament today, but they want you to tell them how to think about it. They want you to tell them how to feel about what has happened. That's how important we are. I don't take it lightly at all.
On the campaign trail, did you come to an agreement with the good prof that when she is successful with the bid, that you would get this?
Oh, absolutely not.
So you were not expecting?
No, absolutely.
When did you hear that you had been appointed to this role?
When did I hear? We spoke. She, So at the time, remember my phone, the wahala with my phone and all of that, when the people had come to my house, and so we spoke, and, I said to her, "I will be honored." Those were my exact words to her. I said, and I felt honored that she had even considered me. I will be so honored. And I've told her that I'm coming to work, myself out, if there's an expression like that, because it's important. This is a moment. It's such an important moment that we have to succeed.
What's your role? As press secretary, you'll be in charge of what for the vice president?
So as press secretary, managing the media, I'm responsible, maybe the liaison between the office, and the media. Speaking, explaining for her. Ultimately, I'm serving her. Let me just cut it short. And I could give you 10-pointer, items. I have it all down. 1, 2, 3. I could do that. Let's not do that. I'm serving her, right? I'm serving her. I'm serving, by extension, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
And you've known her more intimately than the rest of us, professionally, personally. You've told me at different occasions that she's like a mother to you.
She's amazing.
Why do you feel you owe her this death of devotion? That I think it's devotion I'm hearing in your voice.
She's the first female vice president of the Republic of Ghana. All of us have to make sure that she succeeds. Every one of us have to make sure that she succeeds. All of us.
Has the past couple of weeks given you even a glimpse of the weight of the expectation
I was going to expand on that answer and say that. So there's that. But then there's her. There's you know how sometimes you give respect to the role, right? I don't like this person, I don't care much for this person, but because of the role the person occupies, let me respect the office. Thank you. Let me respect the office. So there's that. But it's not that. It's hair. It's hair. See, the way our system operates, to be woman and to keep, and I don't want to sound cliche and say breaking barriers and breaking the glass ceilings, and you know, we've heard those maybe a bit too much, even though they are very true and very valid. But to be able to keep going in spite of, despite, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, and be the example that she is, right? The inspiration that she is, perhaps even the aspiration that she is. I mean, what else is more admiration worthy, you know, than that? And so for me, I say again, it is our collective responsibility to make sure that this moment in history counts for something. It's on all of us, men and women, right? Because it's a beautiful reflection on us, on all of us. If this moment we can acknowledge the role of women in our progress. Yesterday, she, you know, met with women engineers, and you know, as a conversation with, and this is something I've heard her say before. She was asking about all of our women who have been making Kwamena over the years, right? And how we talk about women are not in the sciences, and perhaps how we define
science,
right? And how just through the definition we eliminate key stakeholders in the field, right? So, I mean, every time I sit in a room with her and she's having her conversations, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a learning process. It's new perspective. It's a new way of looking at things. It's a new way of, you know, and I'm here for it all.
You're here for it all.
I'm here for it all.
The good, the bad,
I'm here for
and
it
the ugly.
all.
Because women in politics have not always had an easy time. And the vice president has not had an easy time getting to this role. What do you think will be her legacy, or what do you expect to help her to achieve in terms of those who believe that this is a key signal towards, you know, acceptance of women in leadership roles, our acceptance, the gender equality, affirmative action?
So I think the first thing for me, and I don't know if this properly answers your question, we'll just take the word that you used right now, acceptance. That for me is a place that all of us have to come to. So, for instance, on the campaign, issues around, there's a phrase that Afenyo-Markin used that I found so interesting. When he wanted to use he said, he said bladder break or something like that. There was something he said, I was just laughing at him. I was like, what is he saying? Right? But even something as mundane, you know, as using the washroom was novel, right? Because on the women have not been in it in that way, right? So the whole scheduling, and I heard team members sort of talk about it and have conversations around how to schedule bathroom breaks in the schedule. And apparently it was not a thing before.
But why is it a thing now? And why was it not a thing
because
before?
The men will stand by the side of the road and
hopefully not.
And
not
get
the vice
business.
president. The Ghanaians would not expect to see their vice president at the side of the road using the bathroom. So I would hope that there has always been a schedule for bathroom breaks. Now I find
apparently not. Apparently not. So I'm saying that there should be an acceptance, because we have expectations, right? We have expectations, and we always have expectations when a woman is involved. We have expectations of, you know, who she should be. She should be our mother. We never think around those things when a man is involved. Nobody is expecting a man to come and mother them and nurture them and pamper them. We just accept the men. The men they can come in and be brutish and be business, you know, focused and not care about your daughter and not care about your son, and it's okay. But somehow when it's a woman, our expectations are different. We have expectations of what she should look like, right? Nobody thinks about these things when a man is involved. Nobody thinks about these things when a man is involved. We just accept. So for me, we have expectations of what she should say. You understand what I'm saying? So I think we should start from a place of acceptance. The way we accept the men the way they come. Perhaps let's start from there. Let's accept the women the way they come. What? Because see, it's the way they are. That's the essence of. I don't know if I'm making sense. It's a full picture. It's a full picture. It's not. You can't pick apart. That's the fullness of the person. Now, let me speak about going to universities with Obasma and speaking to the young ladies, and some of them complain about something. I say to them, who are your role models? Who do you look up to? Who are the people you follow on Instagram? What are the examples that excite you, attract you? Now, if your whole Instagram, you're following, and it's a choice. You choose where you want to go. Now, if you're following a flashy, glamorous set of individuals, and that is wonderful. We all love the glam, don't we? It's beautiful to look at, right? But if that's your example, and that's what you have exposed yourself to, that's what you've invited into your space as the ideal, as the destination, and you feel pressurized by it, that's on you. Because there are other examples.
I'll ask you to example to a young girl who is watching this one before we rise, but I want to point you.
I was making a point. Go on. No, it's okay. It's okay.
So you see the glam example. So today you're on TV, having come out in your full colors. You say it has always been full colors before, but now people are seeing more of you, and they are wondering, is it worth it? Because the understanding is, as soon as you show your face on the political scene, attacks keep coming, and sometimes requests also come along. What has the past 2 weeks been like for you?
Crazy.
Since you got this thing? Because it's not all, work hard and get there. There's always, once you are there, the reality of the appointment. What's the reality for you?
It's been crazy. I did not expect this many requests in the forms that they have come. It's a lot.
What are people asking for?
Oh, see, you don't have all day. You have 2 days. No, it's a lot. It's a lot. But this is what I would say. I think that Ghanaians are excited, right? I think that a lot of people see this administration as DS. There's an ownership of the administration, which is amazing. There's goodwill, which is wonderful. So I think what's important is how all of us navigate our expectations and manage our expectations. And that sense of ownership translates into, I have to make sure that it succeeds, more than what can I get from it, right? Because if it's yours, you need for it to succeed. Your success is linked to the administration's success. So perhaps for all of us to, in our excitement, and in our happiness, sort of put it in the right perspective, if that makes sense. It's ours. This is our victory. This is for us. We did this. Great, right? But then let's be minded that then we need to make sure that this succeeds. When you have something, it's a lot of responsibility.
What do you want to be remembered for in this role? I don't think I've heard of a press secretary to a vice president, and now the vice president is a female. What legacy do you want to leave behind when you transition from this role perhaps into the next stage?
For that, I would say that it has been, listen, that I am a part of this story. See, just the fact that I'm a part of this story, that the first female vice president of Ghana, I'm in there somewhere, in some corner. I'm grateful.
There's a young girl looking, watching, listening, perhaps seeking for some inspiration and hearing your story, talking about how your dad has influenced you and how you met this woman who inspired you, who, brought out these emotions and brought you to this political stage when your father is widely known to be of a different political ideology with his Nkrumahist philosophies, Pan-Africanism, and you choosing to go this way with the NDC, looking for that inspiration. And you talked about who do we follow, who are your mentors. What do you say to that girl about who she should look up to, who she should inspire or aspire to be like?
I say that, and this is what I always say, life should be about something. Life is meaningful. Life is beautiful. As a human being, you have to be about something. You have to be part of, even if not the change, because it's such a huge burden when you talk about change. But I mean, even if it's to keep the status quo, you have to be a part of that. So in everything that we do, and I could speak broadly about finding purpose, which is something that I love to talk about, your purpose and how life is not just about being happy. Because if you are constantly consumed about happiness, you might miss, the whole point of life. But it's just to sort of soul search and decide that wherever I am, whatever tasks I have to fulfill, like, when I worked as somebody who had assisted her, what she ate was important to me, right? It was so important to me, her welfare. And in the broader scheme of things, that seemed like nothing. But in that moment, that was everything, right? So whatever role that you have to play, whatever thing it is that you have to do, to come at it with passion and to look for how you can make that meaningful. And just so that we know that we matter. And everything we do, perhaps is in preparation for something.
When you started work, Amma, where's your office?
Where's my office?
Because we have to plan some of these conversations so we can get a bit more detail.
You know that you always have my attention.
Congratulations on your appointment. I am proud of you. I'm proud that you're now me too, I'm getting president. Your girl is now press secretary to the vice president. So the person will bring it. Okay.
They should bring the pressure to you.
Amma, congrats once again.
Thank you.
And we wish you well in the new role. Trust that we will keep you to the promises that you made to the people of Ghana. We will want answers when there is the need to get answers, and we would want the truth at all times.
Absolutely. I can't leave without saying thank you to everybody at GVC.
Okay.
You know that I'm a staff here. I've been here from 2013. I'm here. This is my house. So thank you guys. I love the reception I got. Thank you.
Maame Pratt is press secretary to the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ajiman, and she has sat with us for this conversation. Hopefully you know a bit more about her beyond the male figures in her life. A towering woman and a key friend of the breakfast show. Like I keep saying, if you appear on the breakfast show, people will see you and you get posts. So we too will be getting posts very soon. We'll take a break. When we return, conversations about marriage. What type of marriages are there? Polygamy. Should you have one wife, two wives? Amma is one wife. And I'm your husband.
1.5 wives.
We'll take a break. We'll be back.